Hi folks, this is Dr. Dane here to explain to you the primary tool of this app called Who Does This Belong To? Now, it's based on the idea that we found in Access Consciousness that 98% of your thoughts, your feelings, and your emotions, and 98% of the crap that goes on in your head on a daily basis, 98% of that monkey mind thing, you know what I'm talking about, don't you? 98% of it isn't even actually yours. You pick it up like a big psychic radio receiver. This is one of the most dynamic tools I know for changing it. It literally lifted me out of depression and suicidal thoughts 15 years ago, and I'm so thrilled to share it with you. How does it work? Well, what you want to do is you want to ask, who does this belong to? To every thought, every feeling, every emotion, every judgment, every sense of yuck, every sense of depression, every unhappiness, probably not happiness, but you could do it for that too, and every sense of hopelessness that you have, anything heavy basically, for the next 3 days. Now, how does this work? Well, let's say for example, and this is something that I think we can all relate to. It's like, have you ever had a wonderful happy day and you're walking or driving to work or something, and all of a sudden you feel like you get hit in the head with sadness, or hit in the head with, oh my God, I'm so worried about money. Well, if you were just having a happy day before that, and you were having a great morning, and all of a sudden this hits you, guess what? It's not actually yours. But we've never been taught that we are this aware, and what this does is it starts breaking the machine that makes you think that everything you're aware of is yours. So you're having this happy day, right? You get hit with this, let's say, sadness or worry. What you want to do is you want to go, and you know how it gets when you get sadness or worry, it's like, and you kind of get contracted and like this, and it's got an energy to it. Well, if you ask, who does this belong to? Once it hits you, if it lightens up at all, it's not yours. All you do now is return it to sender. Okay? So you just ask, who does this belong to? If the sadness, the judgment, the wrongness, the thinking monkey mind thing, whatever it is that comes up, you ask, who does this belong to? And if it lightens up at all, it's not yours, return it to sender. And then what'll happen is, and then you'll be walking down, and then another one will come up, and another one, and another one, and another one. And so my suggestion is, do this for 3 days. It takes 3 days to finally break the machine that makes you think all of these things are yours, because let's face it, this is a piece of information we should have gotten when we were born. It should have been on the back of our birth certificate. You know, your parents should have signed the birth certificate and then said, yes, I promise I will tell Johnny that 98% of his thoughts, feelings, and emotions and all the stuff going through his head isn't actually his, and here's a very simple tool from the time he can speak that we can use to change it. Well, we didn't have that, so we got to go back and do it now. Okay, so when I would give this tool to people in the classes that I've had the fortune of facilitating all around the world, I would tell them, okay, now take sticky notes and put a sticky note on your forehead, and put a sticky note in your bedroom, put it in your bathroom, put it in your drawers, put it on your dog, put it in your car, put it at your office, put it in your cubicle, just put sticky notes everywhere saying, who does this belong to remind you to ask this question, because it's some of the most present you'll ever have to be in your life. So what we realize is, wow, we have technology now. We can create an app that will actually remind you, and the beauty is you get to set your own reminder interval. If you're one of these people who's like, I need to be reminded every 30 seconds, it's like, well, there you go. You get to set your own time to be reminded of who does this belong to. Because the way it works, or let me say the way it used to work before this app was available, is you'd do this for 25 minutes and you'd forget for an hour. And then you do it for another hour and then forget for 2 hours. And then you do it for 45 minutes and you'd forget for an hour. And then you do it for 20 minutes and forget for 20 minutes. And then you do it for an hour and forget for an hour. And then you'd fall asleep in bed exhausted that day. Well, what is the possibility now is to continuously be reminded to ask, who does this belong to? Because what happens is we're so conditioned that the things that we perceive are ours, that we've sort of lost the awareness of what's ours and what isn't. So there's no differentiation between us and what we perceive. Now, let me just explain this. Notice the difference between I'm sad and I perceive sadness. Notice how when you say I'm sad, all of a sudden now you own it. When you say I perceive sadness, it's now out here and you can just let it go because it's not even yours, has nothing to do with you. The difficulty is, over the course of your entire life, what's been happening is you've been picking up on sadness, you've been perceiving it and thinking it's yours. And the weird part is, and tell me if you can relate to this, what happens is you wake up, you're having a great day, you're driving to work, and all of a sudden you get hit with sadness or you get hit with anger. And what you start to do is then you start to look for a reason why the sadness or anger is there. Because if you're feeling it that intensely, it must be yours, right? What if it's not? And what happens is, so you look for a reason for the sadness or the anger, and you look and you go, oh, maybe, maybe my wife is lying to me about something, or maybe my kids did something and they haven't told me, or whatever it is, and you come up with all these reasons and justifications. If you could just go, when you're having a good day and the sadness comes in, and you just go, who does that belong to? If it lightens up at all, it's not yours. Return to sender. Now you don't have to look for a reason and justification for any of the stuff that you're thinking, any of the stuff you're feeling, because most of it isn't yours. Let me give you two other sort of pieces of information here that hopefully will help. One of which is, when you do this, don't bother worrying about whether it's a thought, a feeling, an emotion, a judgment, or something else. Anything that feels like a heaviness, anything that feels like it contracts the space of you at all, anything that's less than the joy, bliss, and ecstasy of you, just ask, who does this belong to? And let it go. Now, the other thing that may happen, and for some of you, you may not notice sort of being able to tap into this and have the awareness of this until day 2 or 3. But like, for example, if you can hear the bell right now, in my head I'm going, who does that belong to? I'm outside and there's a church bell ringing. If you can't hear it, I'm just entertaining myself. So what happens is, you may not get this particular awareness of this particular information until maybe day 2, maybe day 3. But what happens sometimes is, you'll have something and it will hit you, like sadness, for example, and you'll say, who does this belong to? And it'll go away. And then later on in the day, or maybe in a few minutes, it feels like it comes back. Well, what the case is there is that you bought that as yours at some time in the past. And most of what is a limitation for us, we bought as ours at some time in the past when it wasn't even ours. Because as a little kid, were you ever sad? No. Or did you just pretend to be sad to get ice cream and neat things from your parents? And did you just pretend to be sad so you could feel like your parents, and so your parents could feel like you, that kind of thing. So what this is when something goes away and then comes back, it's because at an earlier point in your life, you bought it as yours when it wasn't. What you want to do for those things is, you want to go, pod poc, when I bought that as mine when it wasn't. Poc and pod, everything I've created and uncreated as a result. And then right and wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, all 9, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And that thing will never own you again. How does it get any better? How does it get any easier than that? So have fun using this who does this belong to tool. It is an extremely dynamic tool for changing all areas of your life, emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and in every other category I could possibly imagine. Let me know how it goes. Drop me a line, Dane@accessconsciousness.com. Thanks.